Let's get on to our last stage of this research process. Right, let's look at institutions. When I say institutions, what I'm talking about are studios, gatherings of talent, organisations, networks of distribution, funding bodies, commissioning bodies. They might seem a bit dry, but if you think about it, most of the stories rely on that. Most media is about either technological or authorial issues, and then that extends into what does that mean when we're talking about, say, representation, or what are we talking about when we're talking about political dialogues in the media. What you're doing with R.P.I. is you're establishing the foundation, so then you can talk about, say, identity within Star Wars with some kind of knowledge. Otherwise all you're doing is just reporting what you see. Well, anyone can do that. You know, your job is to say, but I know all about this, and I can tell you why that particular representation is really important, different, and or problematic, whatever your essay is asking you to do. Again, you can look in secondary sources, keep looking at what you found already. When it comes to institutions, only ever use Wikipedia, IMDb, etc. as a starting point. Don't make it the be-all and end-all. I've heard from so many people who work in the industry who tell me that much of that material is inaccurate. Don't fall into the trap of just clicking, going, that'll do. Look around. Investigate each one of those avenues. If you say Disney, well, yeah, Disney's enormous. Disney's been going for 100 years. It's massive. Disney is a vast, multi-level, multi-platform corporation with enormous, overwhelming amount of financial interests. What you tend to find is most major corporation or corporate texts or narratives or ideas tend to be subcontracted, and you'll find smaller, I suppose, nodes or nests of talent or organisation within that. So there's often a hierarchy. And you only really find that when you start looking around. And you can get that from Wikipedia. You can say, okay, well, who made this? And you look at, say, the recent Star Wars films, and Bad Robot turn up. I think, well, what's Bad Robot? Well, Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams' production company. And they have to be involved. You see, if he's involved, stories come off of that. And remember, it's kind of back to what we were saying earlier. It's, well, you know, what has this company done? What is it known for? What are the predecessors? Who are the predecessors? Has this company or institution influenced anybody? Is it known for anything? Are there any media or cultural stories attached to that company? Who's this company worked for? How long? Where did this happen? When did it start? All of these things, again, give you depth. They give your material depth. Remember, what you're trying to do is establish an overview of each part of this. So if you know about the institution, make sure that you're looking at the right institution. Don't just say Disney and Star Wars. Well, that's part of it. Where is Lucasfilm in this? Where is Bad Robots? You tend to find these days a lot of actors, when they take on films, are very keen to get into production. Reason being, there's more money there. There's also a chance of more power. And it is all about power. And a lot of media studies is about institutionalised power. So it's good to know what those institutions are. But once you've compiled all that, you can use reviews, press kits, as we mentioned, features, commentaries, and you've investigated each of those possibilities, combining your keywords, looking for maybe interviews or reviews or features on the institutions themselves. What you do is you then have an authoritative understanding of the production process, and the industrial production process will give you all sorts of interesting points about rationale. So don't underestimate that part. Don't just think of looking at Star Wars, I'll just look at Carrie Fisher. That's how I approach it. It might seem a bit like, oh, we're looking at this too much in depth. I don't think you can look at anything too much in depth. That's the point. That's academia. Most academia, as I say, is endeavour and graft. But once you know what you're talking about, you're then not stuck having to fill up 2,000 words. And that's a better position to be in. But trust me, as someone, I've been marking essays since the beginning of time. And one of the first things I do is I look at the bibliography. And if the bibliography is surface and lightweight, if I see Wikipedia and IMDb, I think, well, that's got the depth of a puddle. There's no research there. And it's true. The corresponding statement will follow on. Always bear in mind that anything you do, put yourself in the mindset of the reader. They want to trust you. They want you to illuminate with an opinion they've never heard before of something interesting. Never assume that the reader knows what you're talking about. You will have to outline what Star Wars is, what the key points are, who are the key people, who are the key institutions. Once you kind of do that in what seems like quite a mechanical fashion, you lay the terrain out. There's no ambiguities. Okay, hope that doesn't bore you too much. That's how to get started on something if you don't know anything about it. And even if you do, like I said, there's a big difference between being aware of something and knowing about it. Good luck, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.